The message came at midnight. Station time. Yuna was sleeping in her small room on the diplomatic station where her communicator screamed to life. She sat up fast, her heart beating hard. In her 3 years as a human representative to the Galactic Council, she had never received an emergency call at this hour. "Representative Yuna," said the voice on the other end. It belonged to High Coordinator Vex, the leader of the Rilvan species. His voice was always calm, but tonight it carried something she had never heard before. Fear. "You need to come to the observation deck. Now." She did not ask questions. She pulled on her uniform and ran. The observation deck was the highest point of the station. It had a massive window that looked out into the black emptiness of space. When Yuna arrived, she found the deck crowded with aliens. Rilvans with their silver skin, Torvans with their 4 arms, Keshans with their glowing eyes. All of them were staring at the window, and all of them looked terrified. Yuna pushed through the crowd until she reached High Coordinator Vex. He was tall, even for a Rilvan, and his silver face was tight with worry. "What is happening?" Yuna asked. Vex did not answer with words. He simply pointed at the window. Yuna looked. At first, she saw nothing but stars. Then she noticed it. A shape in the darkness. A ship. It was far away, but the station's sensors had already identified it. The information appeared on the screen next to the window. Yuna read the words, and her blood turned cold. Vessel identified. HS Horizon's Edge. Human exploration ship. Status: lost. Date of disappearance: 12 years ago. "That is impossible," Yuna whispered. The Horizon's Edge was famous among humans. It was the pride of Earth's early space exploration program. The ship had carried 50 crew members into uncharted space. They were supposed to map new star systems and search for habitable planets. Instead, they vanished without a trace. No distress signal. No wreckage. Nothing. For 12 years, everyone believed they were dead. Now their ship was sitting at the edge of Council space, as if it had never left. "We have tried to contact them," Vex said. "They do not respond to our signals. Have you scanned the ship?" Yuna asked. "We have." Vex's voice dropped low. "That is why we called you." He touched a panel, and new information appeared on the screen. Yuna read it carefully. The ship's hull was intact. Life signs were detected inside. The crew was alive, but there was something else. An energy reading. Something inside the ship was producing power levels that the sensors could not properly measure. The numbers kept changing, jumping higher and higher, as if the device inside was growing stronger every second. "What is that?" Yuna asked. "We do not know," Vex admitted. "Our scientists have never seen anything like it. The energy signature does not match any known technology. It does not follow the laws of physics as we understand them." Yuna stared at the ship floating in the darkness. 12 years. Where had they been? What had they found? "The Council is afraid," Vex continued. "Some believe the humans on that ship have discovered something dangerous. Something that could threaten the entire galaxy." "You think we would attack you?" Yuna asked, anger rising in her voice. "I think that ship carries power that no species should have," Vex replied. "And I think we need to know what your people plan to do with it." Yuna took a deep breath. She understood the fear. Humanity was still new to the galactic community. They had only made contact with alien life 30 years ago. Many species still did not trust them. They saw humans as unpredictable, emotional, and dangerous. And now a human ship had returned from the dead with technology that scared the most powerful beings in the galaxy. "Let me go to them," Yuna said. Vex's silver eyes widened. "That is not wise. We do not know what state the crew is in. They could be hostile." "They are my people," Yuna said firmly. "If anyone can reach them, it is me. Let me take a shuttle. I will make contact and find out what they want. Vex was silent for a long moment. Around them, the other council members whispered among themselves. Yuna could feel their eyes on her, watching, judging. Finally, Vex nodded. Very well, but you will go alone. And if anything goes wrong, the council will not hesitate to act. Yuna understood what he meant. If the ship proved to be a threat, they would destroy it. They would kill every human on board. She had to make sure that did not happen. 1 hour later, Yuna was flying a small shuttle toward the horizon's edge. The ship grew larger in her window as she approached. It looked different than she remembered from the old pictures. The hull was covered in strange markings, symbols that seemed to glow with a soft blue light. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time. Her communicator crackled to life. Unknown shuttle. Identify yourself. The voice was human, male, tired but strong. This is Representative Yuna of the Galactic Council, she replied. I am here to welcome you home. There was silence. Then the voice spoke again, softer this time. Home. We have not heard that word in a long time. Can I come aboard? Yuna asked. Yes. Dock at Bay 3. Captain Hyan will meet you. The shuttle glided into the docking bay. The doors closed behind her, and she felt the artificial gravity take hold. She stepped out of her shuttle and looked around. The bay was clean but old. The walls showed signs of repair. These people had been through hard times. A door opened, and a man walked in. He was tall, with short black hair and tired eyes. He wore a captain's uniform, but it was faded and patched in several places. He looked like he had aged 20 years, not 12. I am Captain Hyan, he said. Welcome to the horizon's edge. Yuna bowed slightly. Captain, the galaxy has many questions for you. Hyan smiled, but there was no happiness in it. I imagine they do. They are probably scared of what we brought back. What did you bring back? Yuna asked. Hyan looked at her for a long moment. His eyes held secrets, pain, and something else. Hope. Come with me, he said. It is easier to show you than to explain. He turned and walked toward the door. Yuna followed, her heart pounding. She did not know what she would find on this ship. But she knew one thing for certain. Nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. Captain Hyan led Yuna through the corridors of the horizon's edge. The ship was quiet. Too quiet. Yuna had expected to see crew members walking around, working at stations, talking to each other. Instead, the hallways were empty. Where is everyone? She asked. Resting, Hyan replied without looking back. We have been through a lot. The crew needs time to recover. Yuna noticed the walls as they walked. They were covered in those same strange symbols she had seen on the outside of the ship. Up close, they looked like writing, but not any language she recognized. The symbols seemed to pulse with a faint blue glow. What are these markings? She asked. Hyan stopped walking. He reached out and touched one of the symbols. His fingers traced its shape gently, almost with respect. Instructions, he said. We did not understand them at first. It took us years to learn what they meant. Instructions for what? Hyan turned to face her. His eyes were heavy with the weight of knowledge that no human should carry. For the device. He continued walking, and Yuna followed. They passed through several more corridors until they reached a large door. It was different from the others. Newer, stronger, made of a metal that Yuna did not recognize. Hyan placed his hand on a panel next to the door. It scanned his palm and beeped softly. The door slid open. Inside was a room filled with light. Yuna stepped through the doorway and stopped. Her breath caught in her throat. Her mind struggled to understand what she was seeing. In the center of the room floated a sphere. It was about the size of a human head, perfectly round and made of something that looked like glass. But inside the sphere was something impossible. Light twisted and turned, folding in on itself, creating patterns that hurt to look at. Colors that did not exist in nature danced within, and the power coming from it. Una could feel it in her bones. It made her teeth ache and her skin tingle. This was the energy source the council had detected. This was what had scared them. What is it? Una whispered. We call it the fold, Hyan said. He stood beside her, staring at the sphere with a mixture of wonder and fear. It bends reality, space, time, matter. With this device, we can do things that should not be possible. A woman stepped out from behind a control panel. She was younger than Hyan, with long black hair tied back in a practical ponytail. Her hands were covered in grease, and her clothes were worn, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. This is Nari, Hyan said. She is our engineer. She learned to use the fold. Nari nodded at Una. It took me 8 years to understand just the basics. This technology is not like anything humans have ever created. It is beyond anything the galaxy has ever seen. Where did you find it? Una asked. Hyan took a deep breath. He walked to a chair and sat down heavily. For a moment, he looked like an old man, tired, broken, held together only by duty. 12 years ago, we were exploring a region of space that no one had mapped before. Our mission was simple. Find new worlds. Make charts. Come home. But then, our sensors detected something strange. A signal coming from a dead star system. He paused, lost in memory. We followed this signal to a planet that should not have existed. It was orbiting a star that had died millions of years ago. But the planet was still there. Still warm. Still alive. We landed and found a structure. A building made of the same material as the sphere. Nari continued the story. Inside the structure, we found the fold. It was waiting for us. At least, that is what it felt like. The moment we touched it, it activated. It showed us things. Visions of what it could do. What we could become. But there was a price, Hyan said. The fold needed time to bond with us. To learn our minds. For 12 years, we were trapped in that system. We could not leave until the process was complete. Una felt cold. You were prisoners. In a way, Hyan admitted. But we were also students. The fold taught us. It showed us how to use its power. How to fold space and travel anywhere in an instant. How to reshape matter into anything we need. How to see across time itself. That is impossible, Una said. No technology can do those things. Nari smiled sadly. I said the same thing. For years, I refused to believe. But the fold proved me wrong again and again. Watch. She walked to the control panel and pressed several buttons. The sphere pulsed brighter. The light inside began to spin faster. Then, without warning, a flower appeared in Nari's hand. It was a rose. Red and perfect. Una could smell its sweet scent from across the room. I just folded matter from the air itself, Nari explained. The atoms were there. I simply rearranged them. Una's mind raced. This was not just advanced technology. This was power beyond imagination. With this device, humans could build anything. Go anywhere. Do anything. No wonder the council was afraid. What do you plan to do with it? Una asked. Hyan stood up. He walked to the sphere and looked into its swirling depths. We want to go home, he said. We want to see Earth again. See our families. But we know that will not be easy. The galaxy will fear us now. They will think we are a threat. Are you? Una asked quietly. Hyan turned to face her. His eyes were calm but determined. We have spent 12 years learning the true meaning of power. And we have learned one important truth. Power is not about destruction. It is about choice. The choice to help or to harm. The choice to build or to break. He held out his hand. In his palm appeared another rose, identical to the one Nari had created. We choose to help, he said. But the galaxy must choose to trust us. Yuna took the rose. Its petals were soft and real. This was not a trick. This was genuine creation. She thought about the council, about their fear, about the warships they would send if they decided humans were a threat. She thought about Earth and the billions of people who did not know their lost explorers had returned with the power to change everything. I need to report back to the council, she said. I need to tell them what I have seen. Hyan nodded. We expected that. Tell them the truth. We are not their enemy. But we will not give up the fold. It is part of us now. Part of humanity. Yuna understood. The horizon's edge would not surrender its power. The council would demand they do exactly that. A storm was coming. She could feel it in her bones, just like she could feel the power of the fold. And she did not know which side she would stand on when the storm arrived. Yuna returned to the council station with a heavy heart. She knew what she had to tell them. She knew how they would react. But she had no choice. The truth had to be spoken. The council chamber was the largest room on the station. It was circular, with seats rising up in rows around a central platform. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy sat in those seats. Rilvans, Torvans, Keshans, Voltari, dozens of others. All of them were watching Yuna as she walked to the center of the room. High Coordinator Vex stood at the highest seat, looking down at her. His silver face showed no emotion, but his eyes were sharp. Representative Yuna, he said, tell us what you found. Yuna took a breath and began. She told them everything. The fold, its power, what it could do. She described how Nari had created matter from thin air. She explained that the crew had spent 12 years learning to use this impossible technology. She spoke of Captain Hyan and his promise that humanity wanted peace. When she finished, the chamber was silent. Then the shouting began. This is exactly what we feared. A Torvan representative yelled, all four of his arms waving in anger. Humans have always been dangerous. Now they have power beyond control. They must surrender the device immediately. Keshan added, her glowing eyes burning bright with fear. No species should have such power. It must be destroyed. Destroyed? Another voice called out. It should be studied, controlled, given to the council for safekeeping. The chamber erupted into chaos. Everyone was talking at once. Arguments broke out between species that had been allies for centuries. Fear had turned them against each other. Vex raised his hand, and slowly the noise died down. Representative Yuna, he said calmly, you have spoken with the humans. What do they want? They want to go home, Yuna replied. They want peace. They want to rejoin the galactic community. And the device? Will they give it up? Yuna hesitated. She knew the answer. She knew how the council would take it. No, she said. They will not surrender the fold. Captain Hyan was clear about that. The device is bonded to them now. It is part of their ship, part of their crew. They cannot give it up even if they wanted to. The chamber exploded again. This time, the fear was mixed with anger. Yuna could see it in their eyes. They felt betrayed. They felt threatened. And they were ready to act. Vex silenced them once more. Then the council has no choice, he said. We must demand that the human ship surrender the device. If they refuse, we must be prepared to take it by force. Yuna's blood ran cold. You cannot be serious. That would mean war. That would mean protecting the galaxy, Vex replied. I do not wish for conflict, Representative. But we cannot allow any species to hold such power. The risk is too great. He turned to face the full council. I call for a vote. All those in favor of demanding the humans surrender their device, with military action authorized if they refuse. Hands rose across the chamber. Tentacles, claws, appendages of every shape and size. The vote was overwhelming. The motion passes, Vex announced. The Council will send a message to the human ship. They have 24 hours to comply. If they do not, the fleet will be authorized to use all necessary force. Una stood frozen on the platform. This was happening too fast. 24 hours was nothing. There was no time to negotiate, no time to find another way. She looked up at Vex. Let me go back to them. Let me try to find a peaceful solution. Vex shook his head. Your duty was to gather information, and you have done so. Now the matter is in the hands of the Council. You are dismissed. Una wanted to argue, but she knew it would do no good. The decision had been made. She turned and walked out of the chamber, her mind racing. She could not let this happen. She would not let this become a war. On the horizon's edge, Captain Hyam received the Council's message. He read it twice, then handed it to Nari. 24 hours, he said. That is how long they give us to surrender the fold. Nari read the message and threw it down in disgust. Surrender it? Do they not understand? The fold is not a weapon we can hand over. It is alive. It is connected to every system on this ship. Removing it would kill us all. They do not care, Hyan said. They see only the threat. They do not see the possibility. Fleet Commander Tay entered the room. He was a soldier, hard and practical. He had kept the crew alive during their 12 years of exile, and he was not about to let politicians destroy them now. Captain, he said, I have been monitoring their communications. The Council is already moving ships into position. They are not bluffing. If we do not comply, they will attack. Hyan closed his eyes. He had known this would happen. From the moment the fold bonded with the ship, he knew that the galaxy would fear them. He had hoped for better. He had prayed for understanding, but hope and prayer were not enough. How many ships? Hyan asked. 30 war cruisers, Tay replied. More are coming. They are serious about this. Nari laughed bitterly. 30 ships. They think that will be enough. Nari, Hyan said sharply, we are not here to fight. We are here to survive. To find a way forward. And if there is no way forward without fighting? Tay asked. Hyan opened his eyes. He looked at his two most trusted officers. They had been through everything together. 12 years of isolation. 12 years of learning. 12 years of waiting for this moment. Then we defend ourselves, Hyan said. But we do not strike first. We do not become the monsters they think we are. A communication signal beeped. Someone was trying to reach the ship. Hyan checked the source. It was YUN a. He accepted the call. Her face appeared on the screen. She looked worried, desperate even. Captain Hyan, she said. I am so sorry. I tried to convince them, but they would not listen. They are afraid, and fear makes people do terrible things. I know, Hyan replied. It is not your fault. There has to be another way, Una said. Something we can do. Some compromise? Hyan was silent for a moment. Then he spoke. There is one thing. Something I did not tell you before. Something about the fold. What is it? Come back to the ship, Hyan said. I will show you. But come quickly. We are running out of time. The communication ended. Una stared at the blank screen. What secret was Hyan hiding? What had he not told her about the device? She did not know. But she was going to find out. She grabbed her shuttle keys and ran for the docking bay. 24 hours. That was all the time she had to stop a war. Una's shuttle docked with the horizon's edge for the second time. This time, Captain Hyan was waiting for her at the bay door. His face was serious, and there was something new in his eyes. A weight that had not been there before. "Thank you for coming back," he said. "You said you had something to tell me," Una replied. "Something about the fold that you did not share before. If there is any chance it could stop this war, I need to know." Hyan nodded slowly. "Follow me. This is something you need to see with your own eyes." He led her through the ship again. But this time, they did not go to the room with the fold. Instead, they went deeper, down corridors that Una had not seen before. The walls here were covered in even more of those glowing symbols. They seemed older somehow. More important. Finally, they reached a small door hidden at the end of a narrow hallway. Hyan placed his hand on the panel, and the door slid open. Inside was a room filled with screens and data displays. Nari was already there, sitting at a console. She looked up when they entered. "Are you sure about this, Captain?" she asked. "She needs to know," Hyan replied. "Everyone needs to know eventually. It might as well start here." Una looked around the room. The screen showed images and symbols that made no sense to her. Star charts, mathematical equations, strange patterns that hurt her brain to look at. "What is this place?" she asked. Hyan walked to the largest screen. It displayed an image of the fold, the sphere of impossible light that sat at the heart of the ship. "When we first found the fold, we thought it was ancient technology," he said. "Something built by a civilization that died long ago. We assumed they were aliens, beings far more advanced than any species alive today." "That seems like a reasonable assumption," Una said. "It was," Hyan agreed. "But it was wrong." He touched the screen, and the image changed. Now it showed data. Streams of information that had been extracted from the fold itself. Analysis of its construction. Studies of its energy patterns. And something else. Something that made Una's heart stop. Genetic markers. Human genetic markers. "The fold was not built by aliens," Hyan said quietly. "It was built by humans." Una shook her head. "That is impossible. The fold contains technology that our civilization cannot even understand. How could humans have built it?" "Not humans from our time," Nari said. She stood up and walked to another screen. "Look at these readings. The fold is old. Incredibly old. It was created millions of years in the future." "The future?" Una repeated. The word felt strange in her mouth. "The fold can bend time," Hyan explained. "We knew that. What we did not understand at first was that it had been used before. Someone sent it backward through time. Someone planted it on that dead planet, waiting for us to find it. And that someone was human?" Hyan nodded. "Our descendants. Millions of years from now, humanity will evolve. We will grow. We will learn. And eventually, we will build the fold. Then, we will send it back to this moment in time." Una felt dizzy. This was too much. The idea that future humans had created this impossible technology and sent it back through time to be discovered by their ancestors was beyond anything she could comprehend. "Why?" she asked. "Why would they do this?" Hyan was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with meaning. "Because they needed us to have it. Because something happens. Something terrible. And without the fold, humanity does not survive." He changed the image on the screen again. Now it showed a vision. A message that had been encoded in the fold itself. Images of a galaxy in flames. Wars that consumed entire star systems. Civilizations that rose and fell in cycles of destruction. "This is what the future looks like without us," Hyan said. "Without the fold. Without the choice to be something more than we are." Una watched the images of destruction. She saw planets burning, stars dying, species wiped out in endless wars. It was horrible. It was terrifying, and it felt true. Our descendants sent the fold back because they had seen what happens when power is hoarded by the few, Hyan continued. When fear controls decisions. When species fight each other instead of working together. They sent it to us because they believed we could change things, that we could make a different choice. But the Council is doing exactly what your future warned against, Una said. They are afraid. They want to destroy the fold or take it for themselves. Yes, Hyan said. And if they do, the cycle continues. The wars come. The destruction happens. Everything our descendants tried to prevent will occur anyway. Una felt the weight of this truth pressing down on her. The fate of the galaxy, perhaps of all time, rested on what happened in the next few hours. Can you prove this? She asked. Can you show the Council what you have shown me? We can try, Hyan said. But will they listen? They are scared. Fear makes people blind to truth. They have to listen, Una said firmly. If this is real, if humanity's future depends on this moment, then we cannot let fear win. We have to make them understand. Nari shook her head. The Council does not want to understand. They want to control. That is all they have ever wanted. Then, we make them want something else, Una replied. She turned to Hyan. Her eyes were determined. Her voice was strong. Send me the data. Everything you have. Every piece of evidence that proves where the fold came from and why it was sent back. I will take it to the Council. I will make them see. Hyan studied her face. He saw something there that he had almost forgotten existed. Hope. And if they still refuse to listen? He asked. Then at least I will have tried, Una said. That is all any of us can do. Try to make things better. Try to choose hope over fear. That is what it means to be human, is it not? Hyan smiled. It was the first real smile Una had seen on his face. Yes, he said. That is exactly what it means. He transferred the data to her personal device. The evidence of humanity's future. The truth that could save the galaxy or destroy it. Una took the device and headed for her shuttle. 12 hours remained on the Council's deadline. 12 hours to change the course of history. Thought she had never felt so afraid. Or so determined. The Council chamber was chaos when Una arrived. Representatives shouted at each other. Screens displayed images of warships moving into position around the horizon's edge. The deadline was approaching, and no one believed the humans would surrender. High Coordinator Vex stood at his platform, trying to maintain order. When he saw Una enter, his silver face showed surprise. Representative Una, he called out over the noise. You were told your involvement in this matter was finished. I have new information, Una shouted back. Information that changes everything. The Council must hear it before they make a terrible mistake. The chamber grew quiet. All eyes turned to her. What information? Vex asked. Una walked to the center platform. She connected her device to the main display system. Images appeared on the giant screens around the chamber. Data, charts, the genetic analysis. The message from the future. The fold was not built by ancient aliens, she said. It was built by humans. Our descendants. Millions of years in the future. Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. They sent it back through time, Una continued. They sent it to us because they needed us to have it. Because without it, the galaxy falls into endless war. Every species here will eventually destroy each other. That is the future we are creating right now, with our fear and our demands and our threats. This is absurd, a Torvan representative shouted. Time travel? Future humans? This is clearly a trick to make us back down. It is not a trick, Una replied. Look at the data. Study it yourself. The evidence is real. Even if it is real, Vex said slowly. It does not change our position. The fold is too powerful to be controlled by any single species. The risk is too great. The risk of what? Una demanded. The risk that humans might help others instead of hurting them? The risk that we might use this power for good? The risk that you will use it for conquest, Vex replied. Every species that gains supreme power eventually uses it to dominate others. It is the nature of life. No, Una said firmly. That is the nature of fear. And fear is a choice. We can choose differently. Before Vex could respond, an alarm blared through the chamber. Red lights flashed on every screen. Something was happening. Report, Vex commanded. A technician checked his console. His face went pale. High Coordinator, he said. We are receiving a distress signal. From Voltari Prime. The Voltari were a minor species, allies of the Council. Their homeworld was peaceful and beautiful. It was also dying. The signal says their star is collapsing. The technician continued. Some kind of rare stellar event. They estimate total planetary destruction in less than 2 hours. The chamber erupted in panic. Voltari Prime had billions of inhabitants. There was no way to evacuate them in 2 hours. No technology in the galaxy could move that many people that quickly. They were going to die. All of them. Then, through the chaos, came another signal. A message from the horizon's edge. Captain Hyon's face appeared on the main screen. He looked calm, determined. Council members, he said, we have heard the distress signal. We know what is happening to Voltari Prime. There is nothing you can do, Vex replied bitterly. Not even your device can save them. You are wrong, Hyan said. The screen showed an image of the fold. It was glowing brighter than before. Its internal light spinning faster and faster. The fold can bend reality, Hyan explained. Space, time, matter. We have spent 12 years learning its capabilities. And we have learned that there is no limit to what it can do. What are you suggesting? Vex asked. We are going to save them, Hyan said simply. All of them. Una watched in amazement as the horizon's edge began to move. The ship flew toward Voltari Prime at impossible speed, crossing distances that should have taken days in mere seconds. The Council's warships could not keep up. They could only watch. On the screens, Una saw the Voltari homeworld. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, green forests, millions of lights from cities that covered the continents. And above it, a dying star collapsing in on itself, ready to explode and destroy everything. The horizon's edge stopped near the planet. The fold's glow became visible, even from space. A sphere of light that seemed to contain all the deed, colors of creation. Then the impossible happened. The fold's power reached out. It touched the dying star. And instead of destruction, there was change. The star stopped collapsing. Its light stabilized. Its energy balanced. The process that should have killed billions was reversed in an instant. But that was not all. The fold's power continued to flow. It touched the planet below. Damaged ecosystems healed. Polluted waters became clean. Cities that had been crumbling were restored to their former glory. Hyon's voice came through the speakers again. This is what the fold can do. This is what humanity can do. Not conquest. Not destruction. But healing, restoration, hope. The council chamber was silent. Every representative stared at their screens in disbelief. They had just witnessed the impossible. A dying star saved. A world restored. All by humans and their impossible device. High Coordinator Vex slowly sat down. His silver face showed something it had never shown before. How? He whispered. How is this possible? Una stepped forward. She looked up at him with pride in her eyes. Because we chose it, she said. Humanity had power beyond imagination. We could have used it as a weapon. We could have forced the galaxy to submit. But instead, we chose to help. We chose to heal. We chose hope. She turned to face the entire council. That is who we are. That is who we have always been. Not perfect. Not always right. But trying. Always trying to be better. To do better. To help others, even when they fear us. Her voice rang through the chamber. You asked if humans could be trusted with the fold. Now you have your answer. We did not use it to attack. We used it to save lives that you had already given up on. And we will continue to use it this way. To help. To heal. To make the galaxy better for everyone. The council members looked at each other. The fear that had controlled them was fading. In its place was something new. Something that felt like the beginning of trust. Vex stood up again. He looked at Una, then at the image of the horizon's edge still displayed on the screen. The council withdraws its demands, he said. The human ship may keep its device. And humanity is welcome among us. Across the galaxy, the news spread. Humans had saved Veltari Prime. Humans had chosen compassion over conquest. Humans had proven that power did not have to corrupt. On the horizon's edge, Captain Hyan watched the celebrations on the screens. Nari stood beside him, tears in her eyes. We did it, she said. After everything, we actually did it. We made a choice, Hyan replied. The same choice our descendants made when they sent the fold back through time. The choice to believe that things can be better. That people can change. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, millions of years in the future, his descendants were watching, hoping, waiting to see if their gift had been used wisely. And it had been. Humanity had faced its greatest test. Not a test of strength or intelligence or technology. A test of character. A test of hard thought, and they had passed. The galaxy would never be the same. But for the first time in a long time, that was a good thing. The lost ship had returned, and it had brought hope with it.